tonight and through tomorrow, we've put together a program that we think you'll find stimulating, informative, and entertaining. We selected Envision because we want each of our speakers to imagine new developments, new disruptions in their fields over the next 5 to 10 years, so that the event itself and everyone speaking will be looking ahead to what's coming next.
As many of you know, Innovate Pasadena got started about 2 years ago, prompted by the suggestion of the Pasadena's Economic Development Task Force that innovation is one of the keys to Pasadena's long-term economic success. Fortunately, we have an extraordinarily rich legacy and diverse base of research, invention, and innovation in this community, as exemplified by leading organizations such as Caltech, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and Art Center, College of Design. By leveraging these valuable building blocks and others like them, Pasadena intends to solidify its role as a prominent hub for technology innovation and a startup economy. In fact, this week, the Pasadena City Council took an action to reduce the business license cost for qualified first-year startups to $1. So we're giving away the business license to qualified startup companies.
I've had a belief about something, and I have not let reality stand in my way. I think all of the challenges, whether it's fundraising, whether it's recruiting, whether it's legal, whether it's going public, whether it's your own health, your own personal life, all of those things ultimately change the ability to innovate if you let them. And so you have to innovate without constraints. You have to innovate without the constraint that time or money or deadlines are going to box you in. I had a CTO. He's no longer alive, but he was one of the most talented CTOs I've ever met. And the first thing he said to me, and I was young, and he was this wise man, and he said, you can have 3 things: time, cost, and quality. Pick 2. And that is the worst triangle of all time for an innovator. It doesn't work. Because ultimately, you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to do things in order to get it across the finish line. And there's no doubt that along the way, race day is on Sunday. You're going to have to deliver. You're going to have to actually raise capital. You're going to have to meet milestones. You're going to have to meet payroll. You're going to have to get partnerships. You're going to have to do all of those things that companies do as they hit their marks. But at the same time, you can't sacrifice that long-range vision.
I continue to be told and asked, why are there so few women in the high-growth economy? And I'm told it's because of a pipeline issue. Not enough women in STEM, not enough girls in engineering. And I say, hogwash. My husband's going to be so proud that I didn't swear at you just now. Hogwash. We have been 50% in America of the college-educated for more than 30 years. Does anyone know the board composition of Twitter when they went public? How many engineers were on that board? Anyone? Want to take a guess? Big fat 0. Look at the degrees of the board members. We have been more than half of the MBA students, half of the law degrees, half of the medical degrees, half of the PhDs. If you look at tech transfer offices, we were having a great conversation about tech transfer. Women have filed more patents that have been commercialized than men. Now, not patents overall. Overall, men file more patents. But look at what's been commercialized. And women sit in those patents at a higher rate than men. So to tell me that there is a pipeline issue back at high school or college or wherever is hogwash. To tell me you can't find them, that I believe.
So now we're doing lots of light rail. We just finished the Honolulu design. This is the Phoenix design. But the only way we come on board with a project is with the caveat that the most important consumer to us would be the consumer who traditionally was left out of the mix. In the bright sun of Phoenix, everyone is blind when you're trying to operate a control panel. And so it was people who were organically blind who led the design team in this feature of what we would do for the ticket booth. We also looked at mobility and recognized that because we do have so many people who move about on wheels thanks to our good climate, we had to make sure they too were at the top of the heap, and they directed how seating configurations would be put into place, and we changed the federal standard of not having tie downs. We have a system that is now viewed as the gold standard for light rail and tram design in the US on the basis of the fact that the so-called disabled led the design. As a young designer, I always heard that we didn't design for those people. And that became my mantra. Because after all, if those people couldn't manage something we had created, then what was the point? If anything, design should embrace autonomy and independence for all the days of our lives.
I think it would be really interesting to think about the intersection, just more abstractly, the intersection between analytics and design. So there's a Nest thermostat as the kind of earliest version of this. It tries to, it's not there yet, but it tries to be a system that redesigns itself given your behavior. I wonder whether designers, particularly designers working with smart equipment of various kinds, are going to get to a stage where they're working with mathematicians, with people who do machine learning, to enable these devices, these systems, especially when you've got complex systems, multiple parts of a smart home, different manufacturers. You can't necessarily design an entire home with all the equipment, but you could design the systems that orchestrate all that. And those systems should be able to learn.
So a truly smart house, a house that learns.
That's a lot of trips to the mall. Do you feel you have less time?
Okay, so now I'll try to put in a little bit of a boost for some emotional, some sentiment fodder. I have a lot less time and I feel guilty because of it. Okay, so it looks like the voice rec is working. You see the difference that the speed of the Wi-Fi makes.
That is one example survey. I can do other things.
Okay, so that's an obvious bait. What else can you do?
I can help educate diabetes patients, help Parkinson patients with symptom tests, support asthma patients by showing real-time data like air quality index or humidity. But mostly I listen and observe.
This one of the biggest areas. Defense is going down in terms of robotics money, but the area that's going up is farming. Agriculture is one of the biggest growing areas in robotics, and it's one of my favorite systems, and I don't have the slide on this one, but it's dairy farms, robotic milking machines. Okay? We now have fully automated dairy farms. 24/7, no people required. Cows are milking and feeding themselves. And these are full systems. It's not just the milking machine. There are food pushers, automated gate openers and closers, automated back scratchers. There are even now some systems that are doing herding, bringing the cows, giving them a little bit of extra herding. But here's the thing that I find fascinating. The cows don't need much herding because they're smart enough to know that if they feel like they're a little uncomfortable, maybe want to get milked now, they can just go and get milked. If they are feeling hungry, they know that the best way to get fed is to have done enough exercise and gone and gotten milked, and then they're going to get good feed. And these are systems that are responding to what the cow wants and delivering it. And at the same time, they're generating healthy behavior in the cows. So they're encouraging cows that have done all of the things they're supposed to do for their health and for good yield. They're rewarding them for that kind of behavior.
So a question about intellectual property and defensibility. Does anyone volunteer to take that?
I'll say something. Okay. I mean, our company didn't have any patentable stuff. We got knocked off all the time, copied all the time. But for me, it's just market share and brand. So if you get market share and brand and you just pour it on, then it's going to be hard for people to catch up with you. And then when the competition does come, into your category, if you have an innovative idea, it just tends to elevate the first mover. So that's kind of a cool dynamic, that the first person in, then the second person comes in, it's a me too application or solution. It actually elevates the leader more. So there's built-in protection to be the first mover and the person with the innovative idea into a category, and then just you have to really move fast.
So they figured out the market, like Michael said, and the fact that there are people out there who are curious for adventure travel, who want more adventure in their crash space. So the market is definitely massive. So we want baby boomers, we want college students, we want backpackers, we want you guys. So if you guys are down to stay in a hut, if you guys are down to stay in what's it called, a FEMA disaster standard dome that will withstand earthquakes and tornadoes, you know, we're your people.
The traditional CPAP mask has a bunch of problems with it that we've identified that I don't have the time to go into, but our model is to use those home sleep testing centers to send a 3D scanner in the mail to take a high-resolution scan at the time of diagnostic that we can then plug into some algorithms that we built that allow you to make a customized, perfectly fit CPAP mask on a per-user basis.
Our products, the Insalane Bronchial Cleanse is the first over-the-counter device that targets mucus in the lungs. Mucus buildup in the lungs is a major symptom of respiratory disease that currently no over-the-counter device addresses. Until us, Insalane. Insalane uses salt-filled cartridges that are loaded into a mouthpiece that when they're inhaled, it basically helps dislodge mucus in the lungs, making it easier to cough out.
So we're looking at smartphones, and this is part of the development process that we have, where your limitation is high-use functions, simplification of these icons, and ease of navigation. In addition, we have wearable technologies as a whole component around that, and I'll show you a little bit about that.
So the Irby is a super compact folding electric vehicle. It's made out of aircraft aluminum. It's able to go 20 miles on a single charge, and it has a top speed of 15 miles per hour. We've also been developing an app. The app is actually going to tell you what your speed is, your range, your battery life, but there's also another interesting component to it where it's going to give you multimodal navigation. So it'll utilize public transportation and tell you which way is the quickest and fastest way to get around town. It'll also tell you how to get to cheaper and better parking scenarios.
Kitterly helps you transform homemade and handmade. In other words, we help you take this and turn it into this. And how we do that is that we are doing a personalized approach that will bring that unique project for the unique you. We are using an algorithm that's going to match you to a project that you like, you love, and that you will actually be able to finish because it has been matched to you by skill set and project interest.
The tremendous interest that has been shown in Innovate Pasadena in just a year and a half really demonstrates that we have tapped into a powerful current in this region. Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley have a remarkable density of talent and expertise, of innovation and invention, and we'd really like to nurture it and grow it, and we'd love to have you join the team.